So I chose to focus on the food web of Sixth Lake, which is in the Adirondacks in Inlet, New York. The reason I chose to focus on Sixth Lake is because my great-grandfather actually built a cabin on the lake, and my family goes there almost every year. Inlet, New York is located at the red dot, so it's pretty far north. And it's interesting because it's not actually a natural lake. It was created by damming up the Moose River. And there's a chain of 8 lakes, and Sixth Lake is the sixth. So there's a large number of plants, both in and around the lake. Food webs do encompass the whole basin, but for simplicity and time's sake, I'm just going to be talking about the actual lake itself. So there, of course, is a lot of phytoplankton, but there are also these bog bats that have a lot of plant communities in them that float around the lake. And it's also worth noting here that as we explored in class, the food web isn't necessarily all one direction, right? So on the left side, there are some sundews, which are producers, but also at the same time, we can see that they are being, secondary consumers and that they're eating those dragonflies. Decomposers in Adirondack lake systems do tend to be bacteria and fungi, not so much macro, but aquatic worms are also decomposers, and crayfish can both be consumers and they can be decomposers at the same time. Primary consumers, those that are, directly eating the producers. You have things like small fish, so in this case, pumpkin seed. There's also bass and, smaller fish like shiners, minnows, etc. The daphnia, the water flea, your zooplankton. Freshwater mussels, I think these are paper pond shells in this case, and frog tadpoles. As we move up a trophic level, we get things like, the larva of a dragonfly will actually eat small fish and things like that. Ducks, which are supposed to eat snails, not bread. The hooded merganser, which eats small fish. Frogs, which will eat, small fish and tadpoles and each other. Fishing spiders, which will eat, fish. And snapping turtles, which tend to eat, pretty much almost everything, but usually small fish. Sometimes they can be tertiary consumers, and like ducklings, things like that. Finally, we have the tertiary consumers, which in this case include a lot of birds that would eat large fish. So you have your classic common loon, the blue heron, and then larger lake species. So the lake is stocked with salmon and lake trout. And then also there are sometimes otters as well, which would eat large fish. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on the fact that there are some invaders to the lake, so exotic species from elsewhere that are thriving, which unfortunately do cause some issues for the trophic levels and can be catastrophic. So there's, of course, the Asian clam, and the lake actually has milfoil, which is really hard to combat.